All right, fellow political refugees floating in an ocean of political mediocrity. My name is Dave, and I'm the political refugee. Not to be confused with the vigilante or the political kamikaze or whatever other channel is out there. I am a peaceful protester all the way around. No looting, no burning, just peaceful protesting. I wanted to do a video about how you're not going to get Medicare for all. You're not going to get it. And do you know why you're not going to get Medicare for all? Because the people who need to listen to you are not listening to you anymore. They've done this. They're throwing the baby out with bathwater. What do you mean? Well, the people who advocate for Medicare for all, for the most part, are also part of the movement to defund the police. Maybe they're thinking if you defund the police and give the money over to Medicare and then lower the age to 0, everything will work out. Bernie Sanders had this nice idea where you tax these Wall Street transactions. I love the idea. And he made the point that, hey, they're not going to miss it. Their earnings will be slightly lower. Instead of earning billions and trillions, they'll earn $500 million and $500 billion. Now, I'm being a little facetious with the numbers, but I'm just saying this to buttress my point, which is, yeah, there is actually a way to quote unquote pay for it. In the age of printing money and monetizing debt and digitally transferring money from one giant banking institution into a corporate bank account just shows up. I forget how the guy put it, where he said, we just kind of, move the numbers. We just, he had a more clever phrase for it, but people were basically asking, so where are we getting these trillions of dollars? Well, he said, we just mark it up. It's like going to the supermarket. Just mark it up. Mark it up. Mark it down, mark it up. Makes it sound so innocuous, right? Why aren't you going to get Medicare for all? Because the people aren't going to listen to you. The people who need to sway the politicians to say this is something that we want. Now, I have this idea of a progressive Republican Party because it isn't working in the Democrats, but I think it might work with the Republicans. Because if you ask a lot of Republicans, they're open to some of these ideas because, number one, Medicare for all would be just a ginormous tax cut for most people. Why? Because if they're paying through their employer for healthcare, that's hundreds of dollars a pay period, typically. And you wouldn't have to be paying that anymore. And then these little Wall Street transactions, and yeah, maybe some of your taxes might go up a little bit, but you'd be saving hundreds of dollars a month. You'd give yourself a huge pay increase. Medicare for all would result in a huge pay increase. This is why I am a big fan of Medicare for all. But the people who are yelling and screaming and talking about defunding the police, and the people, occupying 6 blocks of territory up in Seattle, Washington, otherwise known as Chaz or Chop or Chopistan or Chazistan or whatever you want to call it. People are seeing that, and they're ready to just kind of, again, vote hard against their economic interests yet again. The people who need it the most. A lot of people are Republicans because they're not into this Twitter culture war. They're not into all of this identity politics and this politically correct nonsense. And it's complete nonsense. People have true needs. You want to help the Black community? Stop yelling and screaming so people in general will listen and give the people who need it the most some health care, Medicare for all. Same thing, by the way, with free public college. Great idea. Back in the old days, country had free public education right up through college. It isn't a strange concept. Obviously, the private colleges remain paid. You have to pay tuition to an Ivy League school or whatnot, but vocational public schools would be a great idea for college as well. All of it free of charge, part of infrastructure, basically. If you're going to spend money on roads and bridges, you can spend money on teachers and buildings for those students going to college. And it would encourage people, by the way, who are in a dead-end profession to maybe get a degree, maybe a couple-year nursing degree or something that would elevate that person out of poverty and into the middle class. But those things aren't going to get a hearing because people are screaming and yelling about defunding the police. So let me address the whole issue with the police, okay? You have a rogue cop. You have maybe several rogue cops. Maybe you have 1 or 2% of your police population being rogue. Much like COVID-19, what you do is you isolate the infected. You isolate them and move them to the side. Get them out. Maybe lock them up. Maybe do some intervention of some kind. Much like a drug addict. These officers, I don't know each and every case, but some of them suffer from either a testosterone deficiency or possibly an overabundance of the stuff. And I'm just generalizing here. There are probably other issues, emotional issues. Somebody mentioned white fragility. I did a whole video about white. I think it was Kim Iverson. I'm just going to name names. Very bizarre conversation. Not discounting that as a possibility, but wow. Wow. How about just stupid people doing stupid crap? And yeah, we may want to find out what's causing the stupidity, but in the short term, we need to isolate it. Much like those who have pre-existing conditions, who are elderly, rather than the whole world wearing a mask, which I don't agree with that, and it's a separate video, but you isolate the most vulnerable, the most susceptible. So COVID and the police situation should be handled exactly the same way. Isolate and eliminate. Not eliminate the people, but you know what I'm saying. As far as the COVID, we want to isolate them and treat them and give them, the best medication that we could possibly give them quickly. Same with the police. We want to counsel them and get them the therapy and the help that they need. When they do abuse the system, obviously justice needs to be swift. In the case of George Floyd, justice needs to be swift. But turning the entire political system on its head, and you're advocating for this one thing, which is going to cloud all of the real things, the real issues that could help minority communities, disenfranchised communities, all of these big ticket items, infrastructure, Green New Deal, whether you believe in a Green New Deal or you just believe in some kind of a New Deal that puts people back to work. I know roads and bridges and highway system in general around this country, it's in pretty rough shape everywhere you go. Every state, there's an issue or several. And here in Florida, everybody's moving here. So plenty of work for people to come on down and help build the state. And I'm sure other states have similar opportunities. People are fleeing the cities. You're going to see a mass exodus from these cities because, again, public safety is a non-negotiable for 95% of Americans. It might actually be higher than that. So those of you living in your little progressive YouTube bubble or Rockfin bubble. You need to climb out and see what's happening. You know, it's a good guy to watch, and I don't typically recommend anybody because I don't trust anybody. But Tim Pool, I think, a guy who was once in Occupy Wall Street, he cannot believe what's going on because he's not into violence. He is like anti-war, like myself, but he's getting more and more afraid of the left every day. And there are others. The left is losing the battle when it comes to implementing policy, and they're settling for identity politics. They're settling for toppling statues. They're settling for shaming people who don't go along with their every thought. And that's not going to help the Black community or the brown community or the white community or the red community, the pink community, orange if you're Trump. It's not going to help anybody. And this is the point of this video. So that's why, you're not going to have Medicare for all, because it's kind of like a child who's been told, don't do this. I'm going to get you some ice cream. You can have the ice cream, but stop misbehaving. And the ice cream would have been a policy, would have been an issue, an important thing that would have been a game changer for so many. So many. Imagine getting that pay increase. Imagine being able to maybe take an entry-level job because you don't have to pay for healthcare. I know. Target is up to $15 an hour. You make $15 an hour and then you don't have to pay healthcare. And Wall Street will pay your healthcare. Hey, and they should, because you're working for Target. Their stock goes up. Shareholders benefit. They're helping you share in the wealth in a very minor degree by allowing you to actually go to the doctor and not have to worry about how you're going to pay for it. So that's video 1 in this series. I'm probably going to do a few more. Why you can't have public. I kind of covered it. Same thing, why you can't have public college, but there'll be more. There'll be more because I want people to understand that you're losing the big picture by acting ridiculous. Matt Taibbi just called all of this out. He's way more progressive than me. He's smarter than me. Writes for Rolling Stone, by the way. And he says, the whole thing's becoming unhinged. You're going to hand the whole thing back to Trump. Not that Biden is the solution, but for those of you who are now starting to put your hope and trust in Joe Biden, which is ridiculous, from a strategy, from a political strategy standpoint, you're going to lose. Trump's going to win again. And then the country is going to become unhinged because there are a high percentage of leftists now who believe in, like, AOC is kind of cozying up to Biden. Pretty much everybody. Bernie did. Tulsi endorsed, but Tulsi has been fairly quiet. She's just going about her business. But a lot of these people are basically sheep herding. Come on, just vote for Joe. Joe cares about Black Lives Matter. Joe's your guy. Joe will do zero. Joe, in a speech, said, nothing will fundamentally change. All right? All these people worrying about if Howie Hawkins is a Russiagator, by the way, and Howie has evolved on it. And they keep quoting his first interview. And then he's got a meme up that says, it's just a big distraction, which is a good position. Even if you kind of believe in some of it, you're saying we got more important things to do. Joe Biden says out loud, nothing will fundamentally change. And if he loses, the guy who said nothing will fundamentally change will have lost, and there will be probably more cities that are set on fire. Don't know for sure, but it's a high probability. Do you want Medicare for all? Then don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. I mean, you're probably not going to get it this election cycle anyway, but the more you yell and scream and act ridiculous, the less likely you'll get real policy and real reform. That's my video. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell if you want a notification when I upload videos. Please subscribe. I think I stopped the bleeding, meaning that people are no longer unsubscribing. Yes, I am Tulsi friendly again, and I wish Tulsi could somehow get on a ballot. I'd hold signs. Again, like I said in a video a long time ago, if I'm the only one, I would do it, because at least my candidate isn't a fool, isn't ridiculous, is a patriot, loves the country, and is left and is right in some degrees, but kind of knows how to just thread that needle. But nope, not this time around, unless I can write her in. But we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that some more. All right. See you soon.